I'd be better off maybe getting that expensive pair of gloves. And manufacturers, now they could be in a good position where they might say, look, I will let you have these, you can buy these things, and I'll literally, I'll front you the money. You pay me on time, maybe to the point where no interest, and you will be able to get that good quality pair, and you'll realize that in the long run, the cost of of the glove actually is considerably cheaper when you buy the more expensive ones, provided you don't lose them.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I come from, obviously, somewhere far, far away, and in the 60s and the 70s, buying a product that was stamped "Made in America" stood for quality, and you were very willing to pay extra for the prestige of wearing something that was made in America.
Well, I work with a fellow who's from Poland, and he's in his late 50s, and they were political refugees. And he told me, he said when he was a kid in Poland, he said, we sought out anything that said "Made in America" because we knew that it was the best you could get.
Yeah. And
all right.
That's what America's got to get back to.
We will.
All right. Well, Tom, I hope you're right.
I know I am.
Okay, well, I'm buying stock in your company. All right. Let me know when you start it.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, folks, Tom's got a point here. We led the world in so many things. In manufacturing, in product, in
automobiles,
science. We led the world in so many different things. We taught the world how to do things. And then here we are watching our competition do the things better than almost what we used to do. I would argue the quality thing with the caller from Florida. I don't know.
Well, we went on this mindset of rather lifting the rest of the world up, it was easier to lower our standards here.
Well, and that was the whole point of this. We couldn't have the United States setting example for income, standard of living, all that other stuff, because we were just so wasteful and so greedy and so arrogant. So let's all be of the slavery mindset and be thankful for what the government gives us.
Yes.
Sounds kind of Rhodesian, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll be back with more of your calls. Bob Chapman, Robbie Noel, John Stadtmiller, right after this. Bob, in your newsletter, am I reading this right? This former White House chief economist and Harvard professor of economics was talking about targeting interest rates at negative 3%. What is up with this?
Well, there's a certain amount of people in the world who are insane, and he's obviously one of them. And if you notice that Harvard is the same place that gave our illustrious last president, Caligula, a master's degree. And that's one of the reasons I went to Northeastern and not to Harvard. And I would be very ashamed if I was a Harvard graduate. And there was an article today in the Boston Globe about the elitism at Harvard. And even though they give these scholarships out to worthy poor people, mostly in around Boston, but all over the world, and they come, and they can't fit because Daddy doesn't have a yacht, and they don't have a place in the Hamptons, and on and on and on. And so these poor people, even though they've been given a free ride by the school, are isolated. They're like lepers. And so this is what Harvard is all about.
Let's go back to the phones here. Steve in Ohio. Hello, Steve.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
And, John, you brought up the story about General Motors and their the insider stock folks selling all of their stock. Mm-hmm. And, General Motors has a market cap of less than $750 million, and it's got, there were tons of stock sold. Let me ask you this. Somebody had to buy that stock. would anybody buy a stock that you'd know will go to Chapter 11? And is it possible, and might I suggest, that the corporation, U.S. government, acting as like a Gordon Gekko, bought up that stock?
They very well could have. I mean, because you're right. That's a good point. Who would buy somebody? There's got to be a buyer for every seller. And who would buy stock in a company that they knew was going bankrupt?
It doesn't make any sense to me at all why all those shares of stock would have been sold. I mean, to me, it seems like General Motors got themselves entangled with corporation U.S. government, and U.S. government basically is doing the Don Vito type thing. They took over this corporation and they drove the stock down so that they could get it at bargain basement prices.
I think, and Bob mentioned it earlier, Bob, because obviously I think the low today on GM stock was $1.09, and if it falls below $1, doesn't it get delisted?
They give it 3 months, but yes.
So it behooved them to keep it above $1 today.
Yeah, and
maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's very possible. Now, also, I see that there's several Barclays Capital, this Barry Knapp, this Rupert Murdoch, this Lakshman Austin of the Economic Cycle Research Institute. They're all declaring that the recession is over. Now, let me ask you this. Yeah. These guys couldn't predict when the recession started. How is it that they can declare the recession over? And also, we've got President, also known as Barry Soetoro, saying it's far from over. And we got the World Bank telling us that it's far from over. Who do we believe?
CNBC.
There you go.
Mr. Kramer?
Robbie's babe, what's her name? Bartolona or whatever?
Maria Bartoloma.
Yeah.
She was calling the bottom again today.
Yeah. No, they're all doing the same thing, just as Bob put in his newsletter. They're trying to sucker people back into the markets. Here's
Maria Bartiromo's previous job was a hostess and a hat check girl at a restaurant.
Oh, my God.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, she got a lot of stock tips there, I'm sure.
She got something there.
I think.
She was giving something away when you turned in your hat check ticket, yeah.
Well, she's aging now, so.
Yeah, well, they'll find a new Buffy, and they'll prep her up and throw her in front of the camera, I'm sure.
Now, in regards to inflation, we haven't been seeing too much of it. I mean, yeah, we have. I mean, gasoline's gone up, but we're being told that it's not there. Now, could it be that the destructions of trillions of dollars of wealth because of business losses, the stock market plunge, real estate losses, plus millions of unemployed, could it be that, they dumped $14 trillion into a situation that lost almost $14 trillion? Could it be that every man and every woman investor had trillions stolen and given to the bankers this way?
You're making my head hurt, Steve. Bob, you got something you can throw at this? Help me.
Well, the losses are going to be far greater than $14 trillion. Yeah. And the amount of taxpayer responsibility, money, is going to be far in excess of that as well. We haven't seen anything yet. And these talking heads, this Abby Joseph Cohen and all the rest of them, you're going to always hear that from them, even when the Dow's at 4,000, because they have a vested interest. And they trade off of those comments. I mean, the criminality is so unbelievable on Wall Street, you just can't understand.
Steve, those were some points to ponder.
Okay, you guys have a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. We'll be back.